Hello, friends. Welcome to the fourth edition of Lifft India Filmotsav and Awards World Cine Fest 2020. Today, we are in conversation with some magnificent young painters, dynamic painters from Mumbai, Miss Aishwarya Parab and Miss Jenifer Emanuel. Welcome, Aishwarya. Hi, Jenny.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Such a nice
It's
introduction, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Of course, you deserve a good introduction. Aishwarya, I'll begin with you.
Yeah, sure.
Since you are a trained painter, and we have Jenifer, who is a self-trained painter. So, I would like to understand what is the difference between the two types of painters that we have here. What is the first
Okay.
thought that comes to your mind when you say a painter is a trained painter from some institute, or there's a painter who's a self-trained painter who's never been to an institute, just follows his or her instincts and whatever the observations all around,
Mm-hmm.
and just paints that. So, is there a way or a system uh, to analyze whether this painter is a trained painter or an untrained painter?
Okay. So, according to me, both are great only because it's art is all about your own instincts and your own ideas. How do you look at your art and everything? But some things which I feel like being like qualified fine artist, I feel that there are some techniques or there are some traditional ways of doing some things like the painting techniques or uh, the information or theoretical knowledge about the art history and everything that somewhat matters to me a lot. And I think uh, that is the difference between like in application of painting and everything. That is all. That is the difference in between the two, like the self-taught and the this thing.
So, how do you go about painting? I mean, what are the techniques that you learn at an institute since you have qualified from Rachna Sansad? So, what
Hmm.
is it? What made you go to that institute, and what did you learn, or what difference did it bring in you?
Okay. First of all, how did I enter the Rachna? That I'll just clear first because actually I wanted to do the architecture. I had no plans to become fine artist, but I just accidentally stumbled upon that this thing because Rachna is one of the best institute for architecture as well. So I just went, and that day I found out the admissions are closed. So I just went in the fine art department, and the admissions were open, and I just wanted to go ahead with it, and I entered in it. And um since the course started, I started realizing that this is what I wanted to do because there I started learning something that made me enjoy that moment at that point. And slowly I first of all in the first and second year we actually learned about various artists, various art techniques, the traditional art techniques, like how to hold the brush. From there we started learning, and later on we started working on our own ideas, our own concepts. So that way, Rachna Sansa, like any art institute, make you like intellectually strong. That is what I feel. Even if you are a self-taught, if you read a lot of books or you like follows the like artist form, like traditional art forms and everything, that will also help you a lot. Like learning is basically very important.
So, what is your specialization? Because I've seen a lot of painting of
Hmm.
yours which are dealing, they're varied. You have some
Yes, correct.
fruits, you have frames, um,
Yes.
and you had this the nature, but a very uncanny, surrealist or unreal colors
Yes,
which you have given to the nature. It's not, it's almost opposite color that you have used to depict that
correct.
nature. Like for example, that the painting that we have selected and nominated for the award,
Yeah.
Storm
The storm.
in
Yes.
particular, if we talk about. Um,
Yeah.
it has got some sort of a surrealism and some sort of a weirdness in the colors that we have used and the
Yes.
placements of the water or the cloud. The cloud is looking like more of a water. Um, of course, clouds are formed with the water, but you
Yeah.
have visualized it differently.
Correct.
So how did that thought come to your mind? What is it that you're trying to depict through that painting? Uh, of course,
Oh,
yes, the paintings
yeah.
are best left for the the viewers' interpretation, but
Correct.
it's always good to know what the painter has in the mind.
Yeah, sure. So the painting The Storm is very close to me. So that painting actually depicts the strength of a person when the adverse condition or the storm is in front of him or her, and that person is going to deal with it. Back of the mind, he or she knows that we are going to deal with it, but still, just sometimes we sit and look at that situation like a third person, so that makes you even more stronger. That is what I feel. And yes, that is a very surrealistic painting. That shape of the pear, like that depicts the human body. So this is very symbolic kind of a painting also. So that's all. That painting was actually like exhibited in the Jahangir Art Gallery for the Monsoon Art Show also in the 2019. So that painting is very close to my heart actually, because somewhere I also relate to that painting somewhat. That's why.
So, what are the type of colors that you use for the painting? Is it a
So yeah.
watercolor, acrylic, or a oil paint, etc.?
Oil painting is my forte. Like I love to use oils for my painting, but since oils cannot be used like in all seasons, like it gets some fungus on it over the time. So I explore with watercolors as well as the ink. Like I do a lot of pen art also, and sometimes like very little I use the acrylic paints also. Like I'm not very comfortable with the acrylic paint, but sometimes I use. So I like to
Is there
experiment with the material.
so do you think the use of paint makes a difference to your painting?
Like not a huge difference, because for me the idea is very much important. The concept is very much important, but the material also plays like an important role in the painting. Like if I want to paint something, it will give it a very solid kind of a look. But if I want to just sketch a delicate plant, so that delicacy will come with the pen, I feel. Like if I'm using a pen, I'm just making the linear structure of it. It will give you more like delicate feeling to it.
Okay. So, you prefer more of the oil paint, as you said, but we have
Yeah,
Jennifer with us, who is more into acrylic painting. That's the paintings
yeah,
that she had forwarded to us specially. So,
yeah.
Jennifer, why are you using acrylic painting, the paints?
Honestly, I started with acrylic with watercolors, but eventually, when I got to a canvas, I started with acrylic. And I tried oil paints once, and it was a big mess. I think oil paints obviously is really difficult. I think it takes a
Very, very
lot more
messy
time.
also. True.
It is, and I mean, the room started smelling. It was a little scary for me, honestly. And I thought if I had a studio, it would have been easier because I make a mess of mom's house when I use paints anyway. But I think oil paints also take a lot more. It takes a longer time to dry, right?
Correct. A
So
lot of time. Like, yeah,
yeah, and for me, acrylic felt easier because I finish my paintings really quickly, so the mixing of colors becomes easier for me on acrylic. I know that sounds weird because oil paints give you more time for it, but somehow I think I don't have the patience for it to dry so much, and I can't wait for it to take the amount of time that it takes to dry and stuff. So I found acrylic easier that way, and also it's a little less messier, and I anyway make a lot of mess.
Uh, so, what is the difference that you found with an acrylic paint? I mean, what is the benefit that you found in that?
It mostly just dries sooner, so that I found a little easier. And in your oil paints, I think you have to add a base to it. Aishwarya will know this better, obviously.
Correct.
But so it's more technical, obviously. So because I'm just someone that's picked up a brush one day and decided I'm going to make a painting, acrylic came in more handy because it's easier, and oil paints has more layers to the painting and stuff, so it's a little more harder.
So, you use brush, or what tools you use to paint?
I do use a brush, and like Aishwarya said that they were taught how to hold the brush. So I clearly don't know any of that. There's literally been a time when paints have dropped on the canvas and they were unwanted colors, and then I didn't know what to do with it. So I just started using like a tap kind of with my fingers. So it's brush, it's fingers, it's whatever just happens on the paint. It's not so planned for me because usually I think what happens is that my subconscious takes over more because I plan to do something. Okay, I'm going to make this nice little painting, and something absolutely different comes in the end project and product, and I like that.
Aishwarya, like what Jenny is saying, that what she begins with thinking that she is wanting to paint, and she ends up painting something else. The start to finish is totally different from each other. So, does that
Correct.
happen with a trained painter also, or it is a very typical thing with the self-trained painter?
Sometimes it happens with me also. I actually begin with making a rough sketch of the idea, and then I start painting it on the proper canvas as a finished painting. But sometimes while working on the canvas, that idea also gets splits, and it also develops as an individual. So that is also very interesting that way.
Uh, Jennifer, what are the topics that you like most to deal with or depict in your paintings?
I am much of a traveler. I travel a lot to the mountains, so I end up painting a lot after I have come back from the mountains, and then it'll mostly be nature and animals. Mostly, I end up painting wolves. It's not that I like just wolves or just those animals, but I end up painting a lot of wolves and lots of mountain paintings like I think so. I really like photography. So because I take a lot of pictures there are some paintings that are inspired from the pictures that I've taken, and also there are some that are just out of a memory. But when I'm at home, like if I've not traveled a lot and I'm at home, I end up making a lot of portraits. Mostly portraits and nature. So those will be the two types that I do. And of course, I doodle and make these fine marker pen kind of designs that I like doing. So those are fun. Those are
Yes,
more
I
like
mean that you're one of those doodle painting, which is you have titled it as a ugly truth.
yeah. Okay. Yes. That's the
I
one
think
with the faces.
I think that's one of the masterpieces we can say that you have created.
Yeah.
Could you tell me more about that painting?
So that also I think started off with just there's a tree somewhere in the middle of that painting because that's how I remember it started. It's a long it's maybe a 3 year ago or 2 year ago sketch. And I started painting with not painting, it was a marker pen, so I was just making a tree. And you know how there are those on the bark, there are all these lines that there are. And I started doing those lines and it turned out to become a face. And then the entire thing just was a free hand making faces, and it just became a lot of expressions, and it started looking like angry men and just the political atmosphere or so many other social things, and it just sort of went with the flow, and I started making all these faces of people that were just they look upset, angry, sort of on that tone. And yeah, that too just ended up being what it ended up being from my subconscious more than I planned. Like I said, I planned to make a tree, and then it just became a lot of faces kind of screaming out. So there's this one thing that I read somewhere, that if trees could, if they could speak, they would yell at us. So I think that's what it became. That trees,
Wow.
with starting with the trees and all these, yeah, you know what I'm saying. They'd be
Yeah, I
angry.
mean that exactly. Well, that painting is really a haunting painting. I mean, it's amazing. It's just a black and white one, and but the artwork that you've done and the images that you've drawn are quite intriguing, and the way you've placed them. Now that you're talking about that, it's a tree and the leaves and all. I mean, now it's falling in place. When you
The
look at it.
character, there are a lot
Uh,
of things.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean it's so that's what we were trying to work out and figure out what is the main theme or main thread on which we have put or planted those images.
Yeah.
Uh, it's very surrealistic and it's very cryptic, we would say.
Yeah.
And there are
And
so many
it
images.
was
Yes, I mean it's a mix of the animal kingdom and the human zoo, and everything all mixed together, which is very interesting, and of course a thought of disturbance and anger and the socio-political situation all around,
honestly, when
which
the
it
painting
is.
ended, when I finished completing it, when I finished it, I looked at it and I was like, oh wow, this looks good. And then I thought about everything that it might have just come to my head.
Yes, I mean, and you have a lot of nature paintings that you shared with us.
Yeah.
Are they hand painted or they are digital paintings?
So no, they're all hand painted. I'm not very good at this. Is my first online something. So I'm not very good at digital stuff. So it's all handwork. I usually use brushes, but when I realized that there's this wolf painting, I don't know if you've seen it. It's a green and blue wolf
Yes,
painting.
yes, yes.
That yeah. So that one ended up. I was actually making a girl's portrait, and I made an eye, and then some painting spilled on it, and it was green. So and a lot of my colors. I mean, if I could show you, they're all green and blue. So a lot of nature colors. So that falling of the painting and me using my fingers to kind of correct it became a pattern, and then it kind of looks like the wind is blowing, and I mean, at least that's what I think it looks like, that the wind is blowing and the hair of the animal is mixed with the leaves. So that's what eventually happened to the painting. So that was a finger painting, and only the eyes are sort of made with a brush.
That's very interesting that a self painter like you, Jennifer, is using a combination of the hand, the fingers, and the brush in places where you're desiring, and in order to achieve the kind of impact or the visual that you're wanting to create. And
Yeah, it's all
the images that we see, the paintings that we see are very photographic. Especially, there is one painting that you have drawn, which is a low angle of the sunrise or the sun, shimmering through. I think it's the bamboo trees or long trees in the hills, like
yes.
that. I mean, it's very photographic painting. I mean, it reminds of some classic painters, which is apt. So therefore, we were forced to think and check with you whether it's a digital painting or it's in hand painting.
Such a compliment. Thank you. Most of my things are very accidental in my painting, but that one I was a little more precise. I had a ruler and a paintbrush to make the lines go straight. And I mean, I made the background first and I put the sun in. I think this has happened because there's so much time spent in my life just staring into nature in the mountains when I would go climbing. We would literally have hours of just looking at the sun through trees. So I think that must have been, obviously, that's a reflection of just what happened over there. And a lot
So,
of, of
Aishwarya,
course,
since you have also been painting nature, but in a very different way, in a very
Yeah.
surrealist way, like you're painting storm, or even you have, that we know your watermelon, which you placed
Yes.
in a glass. Uh, it's a
Right.
very interesting painting of a fruit and the real inanimate objects around in our daily lives. Uh, how do you see a self-trained painter do? Is it easy to draw or paint a nature as opposed to anything else?
Mm, I think every artist take inspiration from the nature. So it's not like easy or difficult. Like as I like heard that Jennifer paints very photographic or very realistic kind of painting.
Yeah.
I've just heard because I haven't seen a painting.
We
But
will be putting paintings on display on the website tomorrow. So
okay,
all the
yeah.
paintings,
So
including
but
yours.
yeah, if you see mine, I like to paint the things very in a very simple manner. Like I make the forms very simplistic, and if you see that I like to combine two different objects and make some unusual kind of compositions out of it. So I take inspiration from the nature, but I don't. Tend to make them as it is. Like I like to play with them, like make the unusual compositions or something like that.
Yeah, so you're breaking away from reality basically.
Yeah, maybe you can call it. Like I just enjoy making some unusual or something out of the box compositions.
Yeah, great. Uh, so, what do you see now? How has the pandemic impacted you as a painter, Aishwarya?
Okay, so as a painter, pandemic has like I miss going out and painting the looking at things and experiencing them and then painting them. But I have realized that like we can observe each and everything around ourselves. Like it's not always the nature, but it's about the surroundings. Like my paintings are actually like my response or my relationship to my surroundings. So um, in this pandemic, I started observing more around my home only. Like I started observing small details in my home. Like I have made one painting. I haven't put in this one, but in that painting, I painted the back back posture of my mother making some food, and one crow is in the window. Like he comes every day, like every single day in the afternoon. So I started realizing those things sitting at the home. Like I never noticed those things. So yeah, like I started observing more around.
Do you also use fingers and hands like Jennifer does for
Yeah,
her
yeah.
paintings?
I use the crumbled papers. I use fingers. I use knives. Even sometimes I use utensils to paint. So I use anything
Why do you use utensils? I mean, for what purpose? What is it that you're trying to achieve by using
to give some
utensils?
yeah. So to give some texture or something like that, I use spoons and everything to make the texture or to make the impasto kind of a texture in my painting, like thick painting method. Or sometimes I just use any textured like patterned utensil, like you can say knife, the normal knife, to make the scribbles or just to do the texture.
And do you think going to a painting institute helps career-wise?
Actually, it depends from person to person. For me, it helped me a lot to think out of the box, to think conceptually. It actually made me like it developed me intellectually. So for me, it is very like it's like a blessing that um I've gone through the like that phase of my life.
Jennifer, why haven't you attempted going to a painting institute?
So this is a funny story actually. So when I was in school, and I don't have siblings, and my mom's like 10th, all my like my mom's just the 10th pass. So I didn't have a lot of idea about what subjects are there in college, and I always thought arts was arts. I didn't think it would be fine arts. So I always grew up thinking that I would take arts, and eventually I did. By the ninth class or the eighth class, I must have realized what arts is. and I did end up taking literature because I do have a lot of, so like you said, that a person that is self-trained, I don't even know if I'm trained in that sense, but someone that reads a lot. And so I did enjoy, I really liked reading. I was only good at English literature in school, so I ended up taking literature and psychology in college, and therefore not arts, like fine arts.
Okay. Your video is getting stuck, Jennifer. Your audio was absolutely clear, but your video was getting stuck.
Okay, is it
Um,
better?
yeah, I mean, as of now, it is better. Yeah, but your audio was perfectly all right. It's just that
Okay.
your video got stuck for a moment.
Okay.
But we heard your point that you just said.
Okay.
Aishwarya, is there anything that you would like to say or share as a painter and your experience of becoming a painter? And do you think there is a good opening and a career opportunity as a full-time painter?
Mm, to be honest, I'm still learning. Like I'm observing everything and learning from the surroundings. But I feel that art is all about following your heart. Like whatever you see, you just have to look at the things like with open mind and just paint what you want. And as it come career opportunity, I'm still exploring a lot of things, like the lot of ways, directions of the arts. So it's just about enjoying the moment. I like to teach also arts. I'm an art teacher also. I teach in the studio, art studio. But like the teaching, I'm more of an artist than the art teacher. So I like to paint more than to teach. So there are various options to that.
Well, that's very interesting because someone very rightly said that the best way to learn is to teach.
Yeah,
Because you tend to learn a lot
correct.
from the students, in fact, when you're interacting with them and their
Absolutely.
questions and all,
Yes,
that it drives you towards learning even more.
correct.
Exactly.
That's true.
So it was nice talking to you, Aishwarya and Jennifer. And we look forward to having some more paintings from your side and continue painting because that's an art these days, especially in the pandemic period. Everybody is working from home, and you have ample time to think and draw out all your imaginations onto that canvas and paint some magic images again. So, wish you all the best,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
and
Thanks for
thank you
giving
for
us the opportunity.
not at all. Thank you, in fact, for having taken out your time and away from the canvas and the brush. I know how difficult it is because we know it is very difficult to get a writer away from his desk, into a conversation like
Yeah,
this. And definitely, same goes with the painters. To have them without their brush and the canvas for 20, 30 minutes is something which is very precious. So thank you, Aishwarya. Thank you, Jennifer.
thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm so glad to meet you, Aishwarya. Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
me too.
So happy to be here.
Yes, maybe Aishwarya, you may just have somebody where you can interact with Jennifer, and Jennifer can interact with Aishwarya.
Absolutely.
Or
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
and
There is a
there would
lot
be
to learn from her also. I would like to see your paintings actually.
yes, we
I'll
will be
probably,
putting
I
up.
think
Yes,
I might have seen some of your work, but I'll obviously like now
we'll be
find
putting
more.
up the paintings on the website now, so everybody will get to see each other's work on that, and then exchange notes from there.
Yes.
Well, I hope to
Okay.
land them in that case.
No, it is. That's the reason that why we selected your painting, and we absolutely made it a point that we speak with you because most of the painters that we come across these days are trained painters. There are very few left uh, self-trained painters who are now coming or submitting their works to the festivals like this. Not that it's just said that the first painter was not a trained painter, of course. So when we talk about our classic old painters, they were all self-taught painters. So that's something which is also the reality.
Yes.
Till now, only my mom and my friends thought I'm a painter. I'm glad you think so too. So I'm happy about that.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye bye.